everyone, welcome back to the first edition of Super Prime UK in 2025 with your MJ Group Super Prime valuation specialist, myself, Rob Cohen.
And myself, James Wild.
James, welcome back. Super excited for the year ahead. Hopeful it's going to be a good one and lots of activity, a growing economy, and hopefully a buoyant UK moving forward.
Yeah, I think this year the year started off fairly strongly in the residential market. Let's touch first upon there's quite interesting Rightmove stats that got released this week, and the thing about Rightmove statistics, they're not based on actual transaction data, but in terms of what they are, it's a capture of the whole market and the direction in which it's moving. And for this month in January so far, the average asking price has rose by over £6,000. So in terms of how the averages goes, that's quite a good jump, and it's also a good indication of some of the sentiment in the wider market, which I think is a good place to start there. It's the biggest New Year bounce we've had since 2020, which was around time of the sort of Boris bounce, way back when. I think 2025 is going to remain a buyer's market, and we're going to have to see, which we'll come on to in more detail, but where the mortgage rates take us, what's the availability there, and in terms of what rates buyers are currently securing deals at, and how that's going to alter and it's going to move as we move through 2025.
Yeah, I think a volatile January, to say the least. Obviously, a bit of the run on the gilts and the bond markets that unsettled the markets in general and the pound. I think things are calming down now, and some of the signs are that there could be some positive movements in the interest rate markets that could have a knock-on effect on borrowing rates and mortgage rates, which could give a bit of a tailwind to that Rightmove data and really get the market moving. So I think it's all to play for. And on a positive note, in 2 weeks when the Bank of England meets, now there are very, very strong predictions and the markets are betting on a decrease, which would be great to start the year with.
Yeah, and where we are this week, Rob, we've had a number of high street banks actually increasing their mortgage rates, which means that most of these sub 4% deals, they've sort of vanished from the market and only available on very low LTV products. I think there's a few of the 2-year fixed and maybe teetering around the 3.99 mark, but very, very few available in the market. This comes at a time where, in terms of GDP, we're at very subdued growth in the UK. We do, as you mentioned, have a predicted rate cut around the corner, hopefully in February when the Monetary Policy Committee meet. Rob, what's your view on interest rates on 2025? Are we going to see many reductions, do you think?
I think the markets and commentators have been yo-yoing between maybe 2 decreases in the most conservative viewpoint and 4 in the most bullish, which means we end up the back end of 2025 somewhere around 3.75 to 4.25 as your base rate spread. Personally, I think there needs to be the stimulus to get the economy going. I think there needs that stimulus for growth. And so I'm more of a 3.754 by year end. And actually the numbers you've just mentioned of the sub 4% products having vanished, I think very quickly in the coming weeks, sentiment's going to change. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's a raft of new products coming on that are sub 4%.
Yeah, okay. And just in terms of the interest rates, Rob, I think, are we going to see a gradual fall? We're not going to see any, half a point reductions?
Probably looking at 4.25% declines over the year.
Yeah, and just in terms of the performance of the UK economy, I think that's maybe one of the strong factors of maybe some acceleration in bringing down the base rate.
Yeah, I think, like I just said, that's going to be the stimulus to get a little bit of tailwind and get the markets moving.
Thanks, Rob. And Rob, I think some further positive news this week. Rachel Reeves has announced that it's going to soon table an amendment to its own financial bill regarding the non-dom status. It's been something that's been a little bit up in the air since the budget and since some of the changes there. There's a little bit of turbulence after the autumn budget. So, is that going to any softening there? Is it going to bring an influx of the ultra high net worths back into the UK, or is it just going to stabilise those that are here currently, maybe on the fence about whether they're going to be migrating to a different part of the world?
Yeah, I think you would hope a bit of both. Those small sound bites that have just come out, hopefully a positive news to attract external wealth, and equally as important, to retain that wealth. So yes, early days and small sound bites, but if it actually leads to something that becomes attractive, it can only be positive for the markets and the UK economy.
Yeah, no, thank you, Rob. And I mean, hopefully this year, as we touched on before Christmas, hopefully 2025 is a big year for the super prime sector, for lending in particular. There's been a bit of an absence and a lot of lending in the last 18 months. There's been a number of cash deals there. So, hopefully, as some of the base rate falls come in and some of the products come back online in the market, hopefully some of the ultra high net worths do come back into the market in terms of lending.
Yeah, specifically on that point on super prime lending, this week I've been with the top 5 lenders in that space who are working on competitive products, looking to ramp up the lending in 2025. And that's really exciting news to hear in January. It's exciting for us as the leading independent in the space. So I think that's great to hear. The initial meetings I've had with those lenders are more money going into the super prime space. So I definitely believe a lot of those 2023, 2024 cash deals will become leverage deals, and that's good for the industry.
Thanks, Rob. And then as we look back, 2021, 2022, that was 2 huge years in terms of acquisition of trophy assets. That some of those properties, 60, 70, 100 million pound acquisitions in prime London. Are we going to see that return this year, do you think? Is 2025 going to be a big year for trophy asset acquisition?
I think the global market for super prime goes from strength to strength, and we very much hope that London and the UK continues in that trend. I don't see a reason why it won't. Like we mentioned at the back end of last year, there is a lot of American interest in the UK for those that are not so happy with the new administration, and that's to London's advantage. And we've seen some very nice transactions take place already in the marketplace in early 25.
Yeah, I think as we may see, a small number of ultra high net worths leave the UK, just as that will inevitably happen every year. That could trigger a few trophy assets trading, and it's just a decision on whether those ultra high net worth families opt to hold the asset or possibly dispose into the market.
I mean, on the back of that, very interesting this week, the Norway's oil fund investing 300 million plus in Mayfair property in a partnership with the Grosvenor estate. And that just shows the interest that the UK market has within prime, super prime, residential property portfolios.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a boost of confidence into the super prime market. Possibly from the Grosvenor family there. Maybe a slight bet on the Leasehold Reform Act in case there's any strengthening there of the position, and what happens in terms of the uncertainty of marriage value and if there's any tweaks there. So over in America, Rob, this week, Trump had his second inauguration, so back into power. How do you think that's going to affect the UK market or the global economy? Is that going to have many effects that we're going to feel here in London and the UK?
I think the whole world is watching that space, with some with fear and many with intrigue. I'd very much hope that what it does allow is for the US economy to go from strength to strength, and that there's a knock-on effect positively in the UK of having a strong America. Historically, a good America is a good American economy is good for the UK economy, and ties have historically been very close. And I would very much hope that if that is the case, it can only be good for us. And before we wrap up, James, quick football update. Where are the Champions League places going? Anyone from many of teams? What are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, I think Liverpool are too far ahead, and they're going to definitely win the title. In terms of the other spots, I think definitely all up for grabs, I'd say, actually, at the moment. I'd love to see Nottingham Forest get into the Champions League, get into Europe. I think City could turn things around. And I think Arsenal over Chelsea for the last spot, fourth.
Yeah.
How do you...
I wouldn't count out Newcastle. I think come into a rich vein of form, and I'd probably go as the final spots, Newcastle and Manchester City. But I would love, like you, I'd love to see Nottingham Forest.
Neither of us seeing Chelsea in the top four?
I don't think so.
Not quite. Fall off in form.
No, not good.
I agree with that, yeah. Great
to have everyone back this year. Really looking for a strong Super Prime UK. Really looking to update you with some great data, intel and activity as the markets move forward. Really excited for 2025. I'm really excited to be with all of you on a great journey. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you again next time on Super Prime UK. Thanks, James.
Thanks, Rob. Thanks so much, everyone.